Petey Beats here from Pop Turnity, speaking to Cat Hostick about Polly's new Monogamy, premiering on Hollywood Suite July 17th. Welcome back to the show. It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I remember you were telling me about doing a project like this where you wanted to do it all. And you are doing it all. You wrote this, you directed, you acted. Like, is it crazy that it's finally coming out soon, that people get to see it?
It is crazy. It's been such a long process. This idea has been, I guess, around for 7 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we started making it actually during COVID, which is a while back. So it's taken a while to kind of come to life, but here we are.
Absolutely. How, with this project specifically, did it just kind of happen that you were going to be very involved from a creative perspective? Like, did you know you had this idea that you wanted to write and also direct and then maybe act in it? Like, how did that kind of trifecta come to be, so to speak?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I guess there was the question of whether we go ahead and make it independently or, we kind of go through the regular channels. And we had a pretty big writer attached to it that really loved what I had written, but they wanted to develop it into like a much bigger show, and it was going to be more of like an American show. And there's an American producer interested, and so I just kind of felt like at the time I didn't have enough experience in television or as a showrunner or anything like that, and I kind of felt like I'd be potentially cut out of that process, or if we made it a more like Canadian thing, that it could be, I don't know, that I would have to execute it in a less like risque way or less edgy way, the way that I wanted it to. So I decided to make it independently. I guess it's something that I wanted to do all of the things just because I wanted to do one thing that was just 100%. So yeah, I always knew that I didn't know exactly how it would come to life, but I knew that I did want to act in it, and that obviously I wrote the script, and at one point it was maybe going to be a different writer that would come on board, but it just didn't end up that way. And I think it's cool because it was 100% my voice and something I got to do that was all me.
You always want to do something that's unique. You always want to do something that's fresh. You always want to take kind of these, slice of life things that we've seen in the past, movie or film, and elevate it, do something different. What would you say the overall mindset was with something like this, where it does have feeling, like it does feel and has kind of elements of shows like Sex and the City, but at the same time, it's its own different thing. It's a unique thing. It's something maybe we haven't seen before. What is that mindset like for you? I'm just curious about that.
The mindset in just terms of the approach on how to make something a little different, but like still borrowing from the genre.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Maybe you'll do the interviews now. You asked that question so much better than I did.
No, I did not. I did
not.
Oh
my goodness.
What the best way to answer it. Yeah, look, like some of my favorite shows, like I love Darren Star, who is a creator of Sex and the City, Emily in Paris. I love those shows. I think they're so easily digestible and fun and relatable, and whatever kind of relationship you're in, I think you can always just kind of relate to that nostalgia of, different types of relationships, or when you're younger going through things, or when you're in marriage just going through certain things. I just wanted to make a show that was relatable and help people in relationships and also be really fun. And so it's not Sex and the City. It is different, but it definitely borrows from that. It's just a little bit edgier, and the comedy's a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but for sure. It's interesting because it's like, I feel like even from a director perspective too, like the whole reinventing the wheel, I feel like that's just always the hardest thing, right? Because it's like you might be in a situation where it's like, can we reinvent this? Can we not? Are people gonna see it as its own thing? You know what I mean? Like if people watch the show, like there is a lot of out there comedy in this, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, that mindset of where you start with what you want to make, I feel like is always the hardest, right?
Yeah. Definitely, like just in terms of like my thought process and like how I wanted to create it and like why. Like the definition of poly, it just means more than one.
Yes.
Really. Like polyamory, obviously that's a different definition, and there is that within the show. But poly is just more than one, and it's just all these girls, these friends who always have more than one in their lives, and exploring that complexity. And yeah, so I wanted to make something that was similar to those familiar shows that everybody loves, so everybody knows what it is. But it's definitely got my own spin on it.
Yeah, those like
So
open relationships too. And I feel like that's a world that we haven't really seen much about, to be honest with you. Like we know they exist. Like people have open relationships, but like I don't really like I remember when I saw the log line for your show, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like I don't think I've ever seen a sitcom about this before.
yeah, and I wouldn't say it's about polyamory. Like it's not a show about like a throuple. There is
No.
that element to the show, but it is just kind of opening up that definition of poly being more than one, and yeah, like people just having more than one in their lives in different ways, and that gray area and what that is. And I wanted to explore that, and it is a bit more ambiguous, I guess. But yeah, I think there's something for everyone in the show, no matter like what kind of relationship you're in. So.
So much happens before you go to camera with this show. Like there's so many conversations, there's so many Zoom calls, there's so many figuring out casts. Like there's so much, right? Like you know this, right, from the creative perspective. So in a lot of ways, from an acting storyteller perspective, it could be seen as two journeys, right? Before filming, Poly is the new monogamy, and after filming, Poly is the new monogamy, two journeys. Or do you see it as one journey with multiple steps in it from an acting storytelling perspective?
So I mean, I feel like this has been many different journeys trying to get
More
this
than
done.
two, yeah.
Yeah, just because of the way it came together, and because it was really interesting. This was made independently and then sold to television, which doesn't really happen very
No.
often. So it's definitely been
Congratulations.
thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I'm so excited for our team, and like everyone worked super hard, and it was a very ambitious project. And but yeah, different processes in terms of how everything came to be. And I really feel like, post and selling and all that, that's really taken the most time, and it really does feel like a different lifetime in many ways. So
Absolutely. It's interesting when you make a show about, people just figuring things out, right? The slice of life is always interesting because, this is a show that has an ensemble cast, different characters. And a lot of these characters are figuring things out, doing self-reflection, kind of seeing who's out there, figuring out their love life and everything. And a lot of these characters, more than others, are they're lost, right? Like they're trying to figure things out. But I'm just wondering, like, maybe like from your perspective, I'm just talking about acting, Cat, specifically, and I'm sure other cast members will have different answers, but like, is it more fun or challenging to play characters who are lost? Because a lot of the times they don't know they're lost, right? If you think about it.
that's interesting. Well,
What,
I'm sure the different cast members would have different perspectives on that.
yeah, what about
Um,
you? Like, do you think it's like, was it more of a challenge? Was it more fun? Like, I'm just curious about that, specifically with acting.
yeah, feeling more lost. I don't know. I kind of, yeah, it's interesting to have like kind of a broken character, and figure out where we were going and navigating that
Yep.
and evolving as the character evolves. I think it depends. I think it depends. In this circumstance, maybe it was a little bit more challenging,
Yeah.
in some way. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. July 17th on Hollywood Suite, Polly is the new monogamy. When they get a chance to watch it very quickly, what are you hoping they'll get out of it takeaway wise with the show?
Yeah, I just think deeper on life and relationships and where you're at, and just something digestible, relatable content that you can enjoy.
Absolutely. No, I can't wait for people to check it out. I'm so happy for you. I know you put so much into this project, Kat. So congratulations. And I'm really happy for you. And thank you so much for coming back on the show. It's great to catch up.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Your Instagram is just your name, right? Cat Hostick, if they want to keep up to date with everything.
It is, yeah.
Awesome.
Best place.
Perfect. Well, this has been Pop Turn. If you do.com/PopTurn for previous episodes. Until next time, it's Cat Hostick and Pity Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.